All right, everybody. How y'all doing? Old Big Jim coming at y'all twice. It's the second time today. Amazing. So this is what I was doing before I said I was going to take a break. And I'm going to take a break because after this video, y'all ain't going to see me probably till Friday. And I got 2 mail calls I really need to respond to. But I've set a goal for myself not to be a hashtagger responder. I don't even know if that's hashtag responder. There you go. I'm gonna put that one out there, man. How many of y'all want to be a hashtag responder? Anyway, most of y'all that follow me follow HT. HT came on there this morning, and I saw this short video. I'm not sure when Brother Jim put it out, but I went in there a while ago. I had a few packages I had to pack for eBay, and I put it on loop and kept listening to it. I listened to it probably about 5 or 6 times in a row. And that's a short that was put out by Brother Jim, hunting, fishing, and praying. Not a finer fella in the world, as far as I'm concerned. Of course, y'all know a lot of these opinions that I form about people have to do with how they handle themselves and how they move around in the knife community. But I can promise you that Brother Jim at Hunting, Fishing, and Praying, he's a solid. That's just how I feel. Anyway, his hashtag was my favorite 5. Now, the reason I watched that video 4 or 5 times was I wanted to hear the tenor and the words that were used in the post that he made. And the words that stood out to me were your collection. And he said it, so if you something happened, you had to get rid of your collection. And then he goes on and he said, if you had to get rid of your collection. Now, my brother from a different mother, Harold Terry, went into a more of a survival mode about his, which is more. I mean, that's fine. The way I do hashtags is I interpret it because I'm going to take some liberties with what I'm fixing to show y'all. Okay, it says 5 knives. Well, one of mine is a company. Okay, it involves 2 individuals, and it's probably the first knife I'm going to show, or knives. But there's probably a total of 6 or 7 knives over here. I believe that everybody that does this hashtag should be able to take liberties. Now, these are from my collection. They are in a locker that is locked. They don't come out. They don't come out to play. They don't. I'm not trying to say that they're special by any means. But once you see these knives, you'll understand why they'll never leave my collection. And to me, that was the key word. Do I have bushcrafting knives, and do I have fixed blades, and do I have survival knives and all that? Yeah, I got all that. If the end of time comes, I'll trade something for a can of Beanie Weenies and try to move on down the road. You know what I'm saying? Somebody will always trade you something for a pocket knife, I believe. Now, these are going to be in some type of order here, but there is no number 1. Well, there is. Okay, that's why I'm going to say number 1 is 2 personal pocket knives that are very, very dear to my heart. And when we get to them and I'll show them to y'all will understand exactly why, and you'll know why they're number 1 and why they would. If I was walking down the road with nothing and fall over to meet my maker, one of these 2 pocket knives will be in my pocket. I don't know how strong that sounds to y'all, but I'll trade everything I got except for this one knife. And the other knife that's there is also worth that much, but it's not. The dang thing ain't never even been used. we'll get to that. Okay. Coming in first, second or last is two knives from the same manufacturer, Rosecraft blade. All right. These are two very special people in my life, very special. Another thing, I should have waited and did this on Thankful Thursday because I'm thankful for all this. I'm thankful that Brother Jim, Hunting, Fishing, and Praying, put this hashtag out there to give me a chance to tell y'all about these knives. And I'm also thankful for all the knives that I have here. So, the first knife that we're going to look at is this one right here, from Ted Hart. Okay. Once again, I'm gonna say the same thing about everyone. They ain't a fine fella out there. This is totally unexpected. Both of these knives were totally unexpected. Had no idea they were coming. They just showed up at my door one day. I sat out there when I picked this guy up. When I got this knife, I sat right out there in my garage and cried for 15 minutes. And if you know, you know. Okay. Now I have this in orange, but blue is my favorite color. And this is the Rosecraft blades, Beaver Creek Barlows, in Bora Bora blue. And to me, that the next knife I get from Rosecraft, if it's available in Bora Bora blue, that's what I'm gonna get. Okay. Beautiful pocket knife. Now this was a second, but that don't mean nothing because anybody that's ever had one of these knows that Rosecraft blades, their seconds are top shelf. I would rather wait and buy the second. That's just how I feel about it. Now this other knife that came in, totally unexpected, didn't have a clue. Came from this fella right here. This knife right here made me realize the value of the knife community and how wonderful these folks are and how great just my being accepted. Now they call this a jackknife, and I am not one to argue with Andy Armstrong. Okay. I certainly wouldn't do that. He knows more. He forgot more about pocket knives than I know. But every time you look at this, that's a Barlow, and I know it's a jack. I mean, but a Barlow's a jackknife too. So anyway, this is a Lucia Hatchie jack, gifted to me by Harold Terry. Don't look like it's ever been used. You know, I told y'all when I got that knife from Brother Ted, I sat out there and just, well, I didn't boo-hoo, but I just got all teary-eyed and sat there and had to have a moment of reflection. But when this knife came in, I got it out of I walked in here and opened it up and got it out of the box. And I walked over there to the microwave to make a cup of coffee. I put it takes a minute, and I make my coffee in the coffee percolator, and then it gets cold. I put it in the cup and I warm it up for about. So I put a cup of coffee in there for a minute and 20 seconds, whatever it is, and it started running, and the alarm went off, ding, 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 and I don't know how long it was, pretty good while. At that time, I had somebody that was living with me, a domestic partner, and she walked in the kitchen and she said, "What are you doing?" And I'm sitting there, I'm coon fingering this knife, and I'm looking at it, carrying on looking at it, and I asked her, I said, I don't know. I said, I'm sitting there looking at this knife. She said, "You've been standing there for 20 minutes. And I said, well, I guess I don't know why I've been sitting here. But see what I'm doing right now? Just sitting here clicking it back and forth. Beautiful. Unbelievable. Now, is this a safe queen? No, I've toted it. But I'm very careful. I mean, it is what it is, guys. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Now, you're also going to notice something else about these knives. Now, that's one place. Okay, this is the second place, and it's also the only knife in this group that's not a Barlow. Okay, and this knife came from it was a trade, and the person that gave me this knife is a trapper freak. Okay, his pattern. I mean, every time my nephew wakes up, he thinks about a trapper. Okay, and if y'all know who my nephew is, it's Brother Brian at Bubba's EDC. Okay, every time me and him have correspondence, whether we're trading or whether we're just talking, or I sent him a big bunch of books one time, and I just put a couple of trappers in there. Why? Because he's a trapperholic. I don't even know if that's a thing or not, but he's a trapperholic. That might be a new one. We're gonna start that. Maybe we'll get him and put it on his new sticker. I am a trapperholic. What do you think? Fine fella, good Christian man, family man, internet savvy, high-tech savvy, nut and bolt counting son of a gun. He's only got one flaw. He's a Georgia Bulldog, man. Bubba, I love you, man. You know that. Go Tiger. Anyway, that's Geaux. You know, that's the thing about college football, man. You know, the thing about it is, SEC, man, they put 65,000 people in the stands every weekend in, what, 7, 8 cities? I mean, you could bring in the East North Crest School for the unfortunate football team and put them in Vanderbilt Stadium and bring Vanderbilt out on the field. That'd be 60,000 people in the stand. Okay, that's SEC football. You know what I'm saying? Hoorah! All right. Me and Bubba did a trade. I sent him 2 or 3 knives, and the knife that I sent him, the big piece that I sent him, was a knife that we're going to talk about next. So all these are kind of kind of bumping into each other. But if y'all know, you know. Okay, it's a green box more maker. Okay, there's all your information. And it's a trapper, and it's a beauty. Came in this little American flag bag, and it is a black bone oil pumper. And I didn't really know a whole lot about this now. When I sent it, I said, "Man, that's a pretty trapper. I'm glad, I'm glad we'll get that." And but here you go. Y'all look at y'all see the color in that bone? I don't know if it's bovine bone. I don't know what it. I really don't know. But I know this. This knife was made sometime at the end of the 90s. Okay, 98, 97, 98, 99, and it was made by Queen. I've done that much research and found that out. I even ran this by a couple of my authorities. One of them lives in Virginia. And anyway, that's the information I got. It has more on that side, and it has maker on this side. The other bolts, most of them, sometimes they'll have Matador Texas on this end, but this one doesn't. That was one of the hints that it was not, that it was a Queen-made knife. Carbon steel, and when I brought it out, y'all will notice right there, I got some spots. I need to address. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. Y'all see them right there? Probably need to address that. Got a few on this side. And that's just, I'm going to tell you, that's just poor care. I mean, I should should have put some, should have put a little stuff on there to keep that from happening. And then the other clue about this being a queen knife is the shape of the spade blade. Now I feel sure it's got all the numbers and all that on the tang. I didn't get into all. It's written on the box there, but it says Mold Maker, Matador, Texas on that side. And then I'll try. It's a little bitty writing, but it's a 4 1/4 inch oil rig trapper, and maybe anyway, sharp carbon steel, just a beautiful trapper. All right, now then, this is where we get off into. Like I say, I traded Bubba a Barlow, and both of these coming in here are Bear and Son. I don't think I'm gonna shock anybody by bringing these out, but these are knives that one of them is unobtainable. I mean, if you find somebody that has one of these that wants to sell it, it's going to be very expensive. And the other one that I'm going to show you is available, but the only place you can get it is in Ellenville. So, anyway, saving the lives of old knives, guys. Okay, that's not really my. I mean, I save them so I can use them, but he does too. I mean, they ain't a finer fellow in the world than Kevin Bentley. I can promise you that. Take that from somebody that's been around him and shook hands with him and broke bread with him a couple times, and they ain't a finer fellow anyway. It's another one of them knives that kind of got me upset, man. I made some water with this one. I get a call from Billy Ray Bond. Billy Ray Bond said, "Come on down here to the shop. I got something I need to give you." So I went down there, and next thing I know, he pulled this out and told me, I just got back from Jacksonville, Alabama, and I met somebody over there, and they told me to give you this knife. So start with the Ellenville 2024 knife show. Just a beautiful knife. And that was not going anywhere. And then, of course, he did me again, guys. Y'all look at this. Now, I think he had 100 of these for sale. That I think he put him on his Whatnot store. Not really sure, or maybe he's got a page somewhere where he sells stuff. But same thing. 3 1/8 inch Barlow as the Ellenville Knife Show 2025. The Knife Doctor. Y'all look at that stag. I don't care who you are. That's party. Tell you right now. That's pretty. Anyway, so there you go. Now this next one, I just Aaron Williams. There are a few knives in the knife community, or a few brands of knives that cause a ruckus more than there's certain names that come up, and one of them is Robeson. Okay, that's just it is what it is. Their stag knives are just go ask world famous Michael Hale. That's what he started collecting when he started pulling a few of them in, and Anyway, but brand new in the box. Robeson Mastercraft. It's on the second or third time that this knife's been out of storage since I got it, or out of my locker. Saw cut bone. I call that strawberry. Got the Robeson Cutlery Company. Just stunning, stunning. All right, guys, this is a 1 of 100. Make sure I'm telling y'all right. No, I'm sorry, 1 of 200. So if you can find one of these, which I haven't looked in a minute, but you can find one of these. They're not a cheap date. These were made by Queen, probably around 2000. Y'all look at that! Look at that spear point. Ooh-wee. That's why you know, Case makes. I think there's a few of the, you know, a Case Barlow is 009 and a half, and that's with a clip point blade. But if you can find a 009, but it doesn't have the half, the meter goes up. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, it says Robeson Cutlery right there. Underneath it says, I'm pretty sure it says Sure Edge. And on this side, it says Queen. I think these were made in Titusville, but I don't know. Yeah. Queen Cutlery, Titusville, PA. Or yeah, Titusville, PA. Same place where your GECs are made. But now let's say you were to find one of these, and somebody said, "Well, I'll sell it to you for $450, whatever." It takes 3 times that to buy this one. That's how I roll. That one, you know, that one will be handed from an attorney at a estate settlement to somebody in my family. Trust me on that. All right, last 2 pocket knives, guys, we're going to talk about. In 2005, soon after Katrina, my mama and daddy were living in an assisted living facility. Daddy didn't need to be there, but mama was. So daddy found a place where him and her could live together. And it was way out in the country down in, there's a place called Ramsey Springs out here, and between there and Van Cleve, Mississippi. There's a little house that somebody had turned into assisted living for older folks. And after Katrina, no power. You know, it took me 7 hours of cutting trees and stuff just to get to my daddy, and cleaning off highways and limbs and everything. I threw the chainsaw in the back of the old pickup and took off. And when I got there, he was in the front yard they had a 12-inch pine tree that had fell across the road so they could get out, and he couldn't get out. They were trying to get the chainsaw to run. Him and about 3 or 4 of the older guys were out there. Daddy's out there in a wife beater. And I pull up on the other side of this log and get out and walk up there, and he goes, "What are y'all doing?" And I'm thinking to myself, I said, "You crazy old man." I said, "I come out here to find you." But he's out there running the committee, and But we got it cut up, got it moved out of the way so they can get out of there. And about 4 or 5 days later, they come by with a bus and loaded all of the folks up in there. And this place was part of a larger healthcare corporation, whatever it was, LCC. And so they took off, and they would drop people off. They dropped a couple or 4 or 5 people off at one place, not to overburden any particular place. And then they go to another place. Well, they got all the way up to North Arkansas, and I can't remember the name of it. Siloam Springs was where it was at. And that's the last stop. And of course, Daddy, he loved it. Man, he sat in the front seat of that bus every day, watched everybody. He was having him a blast going. He was on a tour. Turned out to be the final tour, but he had him a blast. Anyway, he got up there, had a stroke, and passed. So, but this is what he had in his pocket. Just there's a hardware store 2 blocks from here, Alexander Hardware. And me and him went up there one day, and he told me, he said, I need a pocket knife. He said, I need something I can carry. I won't spend a lot of money. So me and him went up there. It's a Charade, Uncle Henry. I believe it's a 380. Yeah, a 834 UH. Y'all know, probably shot him one time. But the fact of the matter is, in his pocket when he had a stroke, it killed him. The next knife I'm going to show y'all guys, and I've already dated this, looked at all the books, did everything I could do. I looked on Daddy's transcript, his college transcript, and in 1937 he took botany. Okay, the botany class was required for him to graduate from the University of Louisiana. That would be LSU for some of y'all. And in 1939 he graduated second in his class. He was salutatorian out of the entire college, and got his degree in management and forestry. It was a management degree associated with forestry. But he took a botany class in 1939, and they required him to have a pruning knife. That's the first time I ever showed this knife, guys. Y'all look at them bone handles, man. Before we ever get to nothing else, man, look at that bone handle. And this knife was made about 4 or 5 years, and I refuse to clean it. So, why? Because it's got my daddy's punk on it, all right? Whatever how you want to call it. But on the tank stamp right there, it says Charade Cutlery Company. That's what, Charade Cutco. And then underneath that, it says Walden, New York. When you hear me talk about Pawpaw Tina, guys, that's what we got right here. It's a sheep foot blade. I mean, it's a pruning knife. Actually, they call it a grafting knife, where you would take one plant and graft it to another plant and graft it to another plant till you propagate it enough to start let's say you had roses. Well, you could propagate that thing 4 or 5 times, and till you had you'll have a yard full of roses if you graft them right. Now this thing's got some springs on it. On the other end of that knife, and I'm gonna call that a spade blade. But anyway, this is the knife that will be in my pocket if there was an apocalypse and I had to abandon ship. This is the only knife I'll grab to take. Just a beautiful knife, guys, let me tell you. And I think they call this a swell-in jack. I don't care. I call it I call it badass. How about that? I don't cuss too much on here, but that's what I call it. Anyway, guys, there's my favorite 5. Thank you, Jim. Hey, man, I appreciate you. Once again, I'm going to tell you, they ain't a finer feller. I want y'all to know that I'm glad y'all are in my home again for the second time today. And I'll probably do a little pocket dump. Let's speak about pocket dump. Since we're talking about, well, he's got some Rosecraft blades. How about this? Otter Creek Barlow. That's what old Big Jim told me. And what's he got on his belt today? One of them little, I don't know where slip came from, but it's very soft, very supple. And I really, really like it. Riding in that bad boy, we got a sway back trapper, green micarty. I'm sorry, blue-green micarty. And Sextus blade in pocket knives as far as I'm concerned. Old Warren Cliff. Alright, guys. That's how old Big Jim's rolling today. Got y'all a modified Monday in the morning, and got y'all my favorite 5 in the afternoon. I want each and every one of y'all to understand that I am so happy that you are part of my family. I will continue to put out content. I'm not chasing the algorithm anymore. I enjoy doing this a lot. If I get to 1,000, and if I can even figure out how to get monetized, I feel sure things will get much better. I get 2-3 emails a week about somebody who said, show my flashlight, do this, do that. And I always send them the same response. I'm going to say, what if your flashlight is a piece of crap? I said, I do not do reviews. And say, thank you very much for the offer, Big Jim. Okay? So, in my opinion, I don't need them to live or survive. What I need is for y'all to be happy. I love y'all. I love y'all. I want all of y'all to realize that Jesus Christ is Lord of my life. And rule number 9,